be taking part in Oxfordshire Artweeks at the end of May, so I thought I'd tell you a bit about what you can expect if you come along to that. So this is my studio. I'm very lucky to have it. It's a dedicated room. It used to be our study, and then my husband very generously allowed me to take it over, and I have taken it over completely. It's not very big, but I've got a lot stuffed into it, and I've got 2 tables where I can work. I've got this one that's just made out of an old bit of wood, but it's nice and narrow and it's underneath the window. And then this one is a dedicated sewing table, so I can put my machine on it, and it's all at the same level because I do a lot of free machine embroidery, and you need to move the fabric around, so you need a sort of large flat space. So I mostly do textiles and mixed media, and pretty much everything I do is intertwined with my garden because I'm sort of equally passionate about gardening, growing flowers, grow a few veg, but flowers mainly, and art, and I really love to combine them. Not just in the ways you'd expect, sort of inspiration, the beautiful flowers for painting or printing with. This is one of my dahlias that was made into a print. But also I love to use actual plant material. I do a lot of jelly plate printing where it picks up all the details. So this is some cow parsley seed heads, and you print them onto the plate and then onto paper or fabric, or as in this case a panel, and you get all these wonderful details, and which is why you'll see various leaves and things dotted around. I made lots of dried flower things in the winter, and I preserve the leaves with glycerin, which I can use then for printing with. So let me show you a little bit more round. Apologies if this is a little bit wobbly. Yeah, so this is my setup. I've got this lovely big window here, although it's south-facing, so I sometimes battle with the sun. And this table, as I say, where I do my free machine embroidery. I also have a second sewing machine, which is a dedicated digital embroidery machine. Now, this is very clever because you can do your own designs on a computer and then transfer them to the machine, and this arm moves up and down and stitches it out. That all makes it sound very simple. It's quite a long process, but once you've done a design, you can then do it in lots of different styles. This was one of a series I was doing of bare branches. I was doing a sort of capturing winter series for a YouTube series, and this I did lots of different colourways and ended up with this one, which I think is my favourite. I'm also rather obsessed with cabinets of curiosity, which were kind of started in about the 18th century. People would travel the world and they'd bring back all these amazing fossils and shells and even bits of architecture and archaeological finds, and they'd bring them back and either display them in a cabinet, or I've recently discovered they were called wonder rooms, which I think is fantastic. They display them, and it was a bit kind of status, or look what I've managed to collect, but also it was a way of finding out about the world and starting to classify it, and perhaps, you know, with enlightenment, looking at things in a more scientific way. So these very large collections were often the basis of the museums that we know today, and we can go and visit these things. I have my own very small cabinet of curiosities. I also have done quite a lot of work. I did this book last year where I was sort of thinking through some ideas. I love the idea of sort of opening up pages and things. And so I do have this idea, if it works, that this whole room for the exhibition will become a wonder room. So that's the plan. And I've also had some of the pages from that I just showed you from that book, I've got printed onto some fabric, and I'm going to put them all together and make quite a large quilt piece, because I do a mixture of sort of panels, books. I love to make art books, put some of my prints together, and also these stitch pieces, which are usually a combination of maybe applique, as here. This is all free machine embroidery. I might have a little bit of digital embroidery and hand stitching. I love to hand stitch as well. I also do a lot of cyanotype printing, which are these beautiful sort of blue and white prints. There again, you're actually using the plant material to make the print, and I do a lot of that as well. I really love to do surface decoration, so I'm always trying to find ways of getting my designs onto both paper and fabric, and I often do the same things on both because you get different results, and which is why I like to do jelly printing a lot, because you can actually use your own photographs and make transfers out of them. So if you come to my exhibition, which is at the very end of May, you'll be able to look around this room. There'll be some other pieces in the rest of the house, and because my garden is such a big sort of part of my art, that's going to be open for you to look around as well, and I hope there'll be lots of colour in it. So I'd love you to join me. In the meantime, I have this YouTube channel where I share a lot of techniques that I use, and also a website again called A Creative Garden, where I blog and you can see some of my other work. So I hope you'll join me somewhere. Oh, and if you want to follow me on Instagram, I'm going to be sharing all the sort of preparations for the exhibition. So I hope I'll see you somewhere, and some of you might join me at the end of May. Thank you so much.